everyone. Welcome to Barca News and welcome to the post-match live analysis, where today we're going to be talking about Barcelona's kickoff to the 2025-2026 Champions League season, as Barcelona have started this Champions League season with a victory against Newcastle 1-2 with a brace by Marcus Rashford. Yes, you heard that correctly. Marcus Rashford, who has officially arrived in Barcelona, scoring 2 goals and single-handedly awarding Barcelona the 3 points. Ladies and gentlemen, Rashford, Marcus Rashford, not only scoring his first goal for Barcelona, but doing it, well, back in England and in the Champions League. Now, let's talk about the match. There's a lot to talk about, starting with we're going to start first with the lineup, then we're going to talk about general sensations over the match as far as the team performance, and then we'll talk about individual players. But let's start with the lineup because plenty of surprises there. Of course, Joan Garcia in goal, that's duh. We expected Jules Koundé to be on the right, Gerard Martin on the left, replacing the injured Alejandro Balde, and then we knew it was going to be Pau Cubarsí, but the question mark was, who was going to play next to Pau Cubarsí? Was it going to be Eric Garcia, because the two of them had a phenomenal match against Valencia over the weekend? Was it going to be a big center back to deal with Newcastle's big attackers? And if so, was it going to be Araujo? Was it going to be Christensen? Well, today, Hansi Flick opting for Ronald Araujo. So it was Pau Cubarsí and Ronald Araujo in the center back positions. And then in the midfield, another surprise, of course, we knew Pedri was going to be there. But the question is, who was going to be next to Pedri? I thought it was going to be Marc Casado, given that Frenkie de Jong had just returned from injury, but Flick surprised us with starting Frenkie de Jong next to Pedri. Again, this is not a surprise, a big surprise, because that is the starting double pivot, right? Pedri alongside Frenkie. The surprise for me was for 2 reasons, because A, like I said, Frenkie just returned from injury, but B, my surprise as far as Frenkie, because Frenkie is a midfielder that thrives when he has a lot of space, right? He likes to drive the ball, he likes to run with the ball, drive the ball forward, makes those runs from the second line. Frenkie likes space, and we expected Newcastle to completely shut down those spaces. So I expected maybe Casado, who is more of a direct midfielder, someone who likes to, release the ball as soon as he gets it. I thought that was going to be the Hansi Flick solution, but instead he opted out for Frenkie de Jong. And then in attacking midfield, of course, we had Fermín López. I expected that. I predicted that, because even though Olmo is better in tight spaces, and we knew that Newcastle was not gonna leave us much spaces, of course, Fermín López, after his match against Valencia, well, it was pretty tough to take that spot away from him. Now, on the right, I expected Rafinha, because, of course, he's a more veteran player, the better player than Ferran Torres. So Rafinha replacing Lamine Yamal. On the left, I expected Marcus Rashford. And then down the middle, Robert Lewandowski, again, given his experience in playing these competitions. So that was the lineup. Again, a couple of surprises. Ronald Araujo and Frenkie de Jong were the 2 biggest surprises for me. But of course, I'm curious to hear what you guys thought about the lineup, so let me know in the chat section. Now, from the lineup, let's move on to the actual performance of the team as a whole during this match, because this was not a brilliant match by Barcelona by any means. This is not what we usually expect from Hansi Flick's Barcelona, a team that's dominant, that maintains possession of the ball, that has quick transitions, that applies high pressure, that plays beautiful, entertaining football. That was not it today. This was not the Barcelona against Valencia over the weekend. This was more like the Barcelona versus Rayo Vallecano. But of course, against Rayo Vallecano, it was a result of the players or of the team not playing with intensity. Today, that was not the case. Today, it was because it was a difficult match. Yes, Newcastle might be, I think, they're 10th in the Premier League, but nonetheless, that's a difficult opponent. Not only that, it's in a difficult stadium where, well, I'm sure you guys heard, but the crowd was absolutely vibrant. It was pretty much, you couldn't even hear yourself think if you were in that stadium. So difficult opponent, difficult stadium. So as a result, we did not see a brilliant Barcelona. Now, what did Newcastle do to make Barcelona's life difficult? Were a couple of things. The number one thing is they applied really high pressure on Barcelona, a suffocating pressure on Barcelona that during the first half, Barcelona could not surpass. They could not get out from under Newcastle's high pressure. As a result, they were constantly losing balls. They weren't able to build. And of course, as a result, Newcastle had plenty of chances. But nonetheless, Barcelona knew how to suffer. They knew how to continue fighting. They knew how to claw back, and then eventually Barcelona slowly started regaining control of the match. It started towards the end of the first half and then continued into the second half. And this is very important because this shows the maturity of the team. This shows that this team has matured in the Champions League, in European competitions, because before we always used to say, Barcelona does not know how to suffer, right? When Barcelona would face a difficult team or would face difficult circumstances, the team would fall apart. The team would not know how to respond. The team would start making mistakes. The team would start getting nervous. Today, that wasn't the case. Today, it was a really tough battle for Barcelona at the beginning. They were in very difficult circumstances, could not get out of Newcastle's press, but nonetheless, they kept their cool. They kept their composure. They continued fighting, and slowly, they clawed back and they regained control of the match. Now, the second thing that Newcastle did that made Barcelona's life difficult was, of course, they knew something very important. That if you clip the wings of the attacking midfielder of Hansi Flick's Barca, well, the rest becomes very difficult. And that's exactly what they did. They double, sometimes even triple tagged Fermin Lopez or marked Fermin Lopez. And as a result, Fermin Lopez did not really have a good match. He was completely canceled out by Newcastle's defense. And as a result, there wasn't a lot of connection between Barcelona's mid and Barcelona's attack because, again, Newcastle was able to remove that link between those two lines, between the midfield line and the attacking line, which was Fermin Lopez. They removed that link by completely canceling him out, by double, sometimes even triple marking him. So, of course, Barcelona had to resort, since they couldn't go down the middle, they had to resort to their wingers, Rafinha and Marcus Rashford. And the two of them, well, they were not help either. Rafinha was consistently losing balls. He could not get past Newcastle's defenders. This is where we could have needed Lamine Yamal more, because Lamine Yamal knows how to dribble past defenders. That's not something that Rafinha knows how to do. We've known that for a very long time. So Rafinha was not really helping. And as far as Rashford, he was making some runs, but he was not really connecting with anyone either. So with the two Barcelona wingers pretty much being ineffective, with Fermin Lopez being shut down by Newcastle's defense, that of course caused Lewandowski to completely disappear because there was no one to get him the ball in the box, and that made Barcelona's life very difficult. But of course, came the second half, and here we have to start talking about individual players, because this is what we expected from a signing like Marcus Rashford. We all fell in love with the Rashford that made big splash when he first arrived in the scene, a player that could single-handedly win a game for you, that can single-handedly change the outcome of a match for you, and that's the Rashford that we saw today. Not the best of matches of Rashford, not a brilliant match by Rashford, but in two individual plays, scores 2 goals and wins you the match and gets you those 3 points. Because up to that point, like I said, Newcastle had completely closed any spaces for Barcelona. Barcelona could not go anywhere because they had no spaces. As a result, the only two options left for Barcelona to cause any damages was A, aerial balls, or B, shots from outside the box. And that's exactly what Rashford did. First goal comes from an aerial ball across, was it Koundé or Frankie? I think it was Koundé. He heads it beautifully, by the way. He had a defender on him. He just takes one step to the side, and he's so big, he's so tall, he doesn't even have to put that much effort into it, barely touches the ball, and goal. And then the second option that Barcelona had, since they didn't have any spaces, shots from outside the box, and that's exactly what Rashford does. One hell of a banger, grabs the ball, runs with it. His body is facing the opposite way, completely uncomfortable position, barely touches the ball, and he just shoots out a freaking missile that just completely blows the goal apart. I think, what's his name? Pope's goal apart. I mean, brilliant 2 goals by Marcus Rashford, who, again, this is the Rashford that we all fell in love with when he first arrived onto the scene. A player that in 1, 2, 3 individual plays can completely win you a game single-handedly. And thankfully, he was there to do this. And thankfully, we were able to take the home 3 very important points, again, in what was a difficult match where Newcastle did their job right. Another player I want to talk about, and we have to talk about, Joan Garcia. I'll say it again. Joan Garcia. Garcia, because Juan Garcia, ladies and gentlemen, today was absolutely brilliant. Now, we had already seen what Juan Garcia could do in La Liga, whether you saw him last season with Espanyol when he won the Best Goalkeeper Award, or whether with Barcelona in a few matches I've seen him. We know what Juan Garcia can do in La Liga. We knew that. But the question was, can he replicate that on the big stage, on the Champions League, against tough opponents, in tough stadiums? And well, so far, the answers seem that yes. Because today, Juan Garcia became an octopus. He had 8 arms, and he was pretty much stopping everything. And if Juan Garcia can maintain this level, we have a one hell of a goalkeeper for many, 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 many years to come, because he is only 24 years old. And between Juan Garcia and Marcus Rashford, that's how Barcelona were able to overcome Newcastle. Now, I also want to mention real quick the defensive line, because today Barcelona's defensive line was absolutely spectacular. You know, we always complain about the defense. Oh, Barcelona concedes goals. The defense makes mistakes. Not today. Today, the defense was on top of it. Today, the defense was 100% focused. They were on it. They had to fight and fight and fight and fight, because Newcastle was giving them one hell of a fight, and every single time the defense responded. Now, of course, Newcastle did end up scoring a goal, but I mean, you can't stop every single one of them. And today, the defense was spectacular. Koundé was having his own battle on the right. Gerard Martin, spectacular match by Gerard Martin. And Cubarsí and Araujo also, great job. The whole defensive line was on it. They did not fall asleep a single second. They did not lose focus a single second. And today, well, they had to get down and dirty. And that's exactly what they did. So that's all I got to say. Overall, a difficult match for Barcelona. Not a brilliant match by Barcelona. But nonetheless, this shows the maturity of the team, that now they know how to suffer. They know how to respond to tough circumstances. And they know how to still pull a victory. Not a beautifully masterful victory, but nonetheless, these are the kind of victories that you need to know how to achieve in order to win something like the Champions League, because you're not always going to dominate. You're not always going to be able to impose yourself. You're not always going to be able to impose your football. Sometimes you're going to have to suffer, and in those moments, you still got to know how to fight and claw back. And well, that's exactly what Barcelona did. They knew how to fight and claw back and get this victory despite the difficult circumstances that they were facing, and well, despite the everything that Newcastle was doing to make our life difficult. All right, let's do some comments, and then we'll end this live. I want to hear what you guys think about this match. And then, of course, later tonight, news videos. Bible, Laws, and Legends says, I always believed in Rashford. If you don't believe in Rashford, believe in the coach that asked for him. That's true. As far as Flick, I always, I kind of had my doubts a little bit about Rashford, because I didn't know what kind of Rashford we were going to get. The Rashford from the early years of Manchester United or the later year. I got to say this. Every match of Rashford so far has been an improvement on the one before. He still hasn't given us a brilliant match, but today's match was better than the last one, and the last one was better than the last one, and the last one was better than the last one, which tells me something. It tells me Rashford is slowly adapting, slowly getting better, slowly learning Flick's system, and that is good. And like I said previously, I think it was Valencia match, post-match analysis, people were asking me, what do you think about Rashford? I was like, look, give him some time. He's slowly showing us better and better performances. So today, no different. So I think Rashford is on the right track. He's slowly improving with every single match. And I think pretty soon, we're going to see the Rashford that we saw during the early years of Manchester United. Ahmed Khalil says, hey Mo, how are you feeling? Rashford keeps performing. I say we keep him and use those funds for a world-class striker. What do you think? Too early? I mean, let's chill. He's only played one Champions League match, and 3 or 4 La Liga matches? Like, let's chill. Let's wait to see how he does through the season, and then we can talk about whether we should keep him or not. Let's calm down. Let's calm down. John Williams says, big up, Mo. You're the best, guys. Hit the like button and stop running like Vinny. Also, Mbappe, who doesn't know how to stay onside. So, well, thank you, my friend. And yes, please hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel continue to grow. Zach Urban says, Gerard Martin improved so much. Gerard Martin today had a spectacular match. I mean, I've been a fan of Gerard Martin Last season, first few matches, obviously he was struggling, and when people were like, "Oh, that guy sucks, get him out of here," not Barca level, I said, "Guys, chill." He literally just made the move from third division to first. Like, of course, he's gonna take him time. All of a sudden, these players are bigger, they're stronger, they're faster than what he's used to. Everything's faster than what he's used to. He's gonna take him some time, and well, lo and behold, he only keep getting better and better and better. And I think today, Gerard Martin, I mean, he played like he was a veteran. I mean, he had a spectacular match. He held his own, and I'm really, really glad that Hansi Flick gave Gerard Martin a chance. Curtis says, I'm glad Rashford shut up our own fans. We seem to have patience and hurry to trash a player. Well done, Rashford. Agree. Again, not a brilliant match, but he did what players of his caliber do. In 1-2 individual plays, gives you the victory like it's nothing. But still, I would like to see more of him. Jules says, can we give Araujo his flowers today? Same for Gerard Martin. Kunde was a beast as usual. The whole defensive line, yes, Araujo did a great job. Kuwarsi did a great job. Kunde was just fighting. He was down. He was getting down and dirty in the mud. The same with Gerard Martin on the other side. I mean, the whole defensive line today was spectacular. This defensive line can keep it up like that between the defensive line doing his job like they did today and Juan Garcia, who's absolutely unstoppable. I mean, the guy is a freaking octopus. I think we're going to concede a lot less goals than last season. Are we still going to concede? Of course. Like I've said a million times, Hansi Flick system, you are going to concede. But I think if this defensive line can do what they did today in the rest of the matches, and with Juan Garcia right behind him, I think we're looking a lot better as far as conceding goals. Let's see. Suf says, Salam Mo, how are you doing? Kunde played like a monster. Rashford tried the first half and unlocked in the second. I hope we will get to see the old Rashi. Great game, Bisca Barca. I hope so too, my friend. If Rashford can completely be unlocked, I mean, as we've seen, he's slowly unlocking him, right? He's slowly getting unlocked. I think if we could get the version of Rashford of the early Manchester years, I mean, God help the rest of the teams. With Lamine Yamal on the right and with a fully unleashed Rashford on the left, mamma mia. I mean, forget about it. Akanda says, hello, Mo. This is Akande Jean from Nigeria, commenting for the first time. Nice win and redemption game for Rashford with amazing brace. I appreciate all you do to keep us informed. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your comment. Street Fighter says, if Olmo had Fermin performance today, people would say, sell him. Well, here's the difference. Olmo cost 60 million. Fermin cost us nothing. So it would be justifiable to say that. Because when you spend 60 million on a player, you expect them to perform consistently, right? When you have a player that costs you nothing, they get a little more leeway. This is kind of like if you go and spend, $100,000 on a car, you expect that car to be fast all the time and perform, right? If you spend it on a Corolla, 20,000, you expect it to perform sometimes, not all, So it's justifiable. I mean, this is not like crazy to expect Olmo to perform when he costs us 60 million. Nice. Sanjok says, thank you for the donation, my friend. As always, supporting the channel with your incredible generosity. Says, not a good game from Fermin. He's either world-class or he's incredibly bad. There's nothing in between. Also, Araujo needs to stop giving away balls. Again, with Fermin Lopez, it's not that his quote-unquote bad performance, which I don't think it was bad, it just wasn't brilliant. The reason for that is because Newcastle understood something very important. And it's in order to stop Flick's Barca, or try to stop Flick's Barca, is to clip the wings of the attacking midfielder, whether it be Olmo, whether it be Fermin, because that's the link. Since the midfield is a triangle, that is the link between the midfield and the attack. And if you remove that link, all of a sudden there's a disconnect. Newcastle understood that very well, and they knew how to do that, and they knew how to apply that. So that's why Fermin Lopez today was not there. And if it would have been Olmo, it would have been the same, honestly, because they were double, sometimes even triple teaming Fermin Lopez. Now, as a result of that, Fermin had to instead defend and fight and get down and dirty, kind of like Kunde and Gerard Martin did. So today was not a match for Fermin Lopez to shine. Today was a match to get down and dirty, and well, that's exactly what Fermin did. That's why I don't think it was a bad match. It just wasn't a brilliant match, like the rest of the team. The whole team did not have a brilliant match. Instead, they had, well, a tough match where they had to fight, get down and dirty, and claw back. And that's what happened. Shamar says, our midfielders, Pedri and De Jong, is absolutely phenomenal. Our defense was absolutely rock solid. Araujo's improving, and Joan Garcia is just world class. I agree, except I had a little bit of a problem with Frankie because, again, not to say that he had a bad match. I don't think he did. But, you know, Frankie, again, he's that kind of midfielder that really shines when he has space to drive the ball, to make runs, and he didn't have that today. So sometimes I saw him kind of like reverting back to the old Frankie where he would just hold on to the ball and just like kind of look right, look left, go to the right, go to the left. It's kind of like he was holding up the play again, but that's because, you know, Newcastle, you know, they knew how to close spaces. I feel like Casado, who's more of a direct midfielder, could have maybe made a little bit of a difference. But again, I'm not saying anything bad about Frankie. I just feel like maybe because he still performed, obviously. It's not like Frankie, oh my God, Frankie, you did a shitty game. Fuck you. No, I'm not saying that. I think I would have liked to see how Casado would have reacted instead. Alexis says, I don't know if I can agree about last season. I think we did know how to suffer. We had so many comebacks. I'm not talking about last season. I'm talking about in general. Barcelona was never known as a team that knew how to suffer. Barcelona shined when they had the ball. At the moment you took the ball away, the team would be like, oh, shit, what do we do? Again, not last season. I'm talking in general. Carlos says, Fermin didn't have a bad match. He had a good match defensively and tracking back. Attacking wasn't his greatest game. Exactly. Well said, Carlos. It's not that Fermin had a bad match. Is he didn't have a brilliant match. He didn't get to shine in the attack. Instead, he had to, again, like I said before, get down and dirty and fight just like the rest of the team. The whole team didn't have a brilliant match. The whole team just had to fight and suffer and get down and dirty, and we got the result. Edri says, Mo, I want to give a special shout out to Casado for the tactical foul. We need him to finish games. Yeah, I saw that. He was like, come here. You ain't going nowhere. You know, sometimes you have to do those. Sometimes you do. You have to just take one for the team and get a yellow. Olushola says, Newcastle was expecting the Highline defense, but they met a different formation. Hansi Flick, so intelligent. Good job, Bizka Barca. By the way, speaking of Highlines, what's his name? I'm completely blanking on his name. Oh my God, damn it. Of course, the moment I decided to talk about the guy who takes out running all the way from the back, crosses it, but then Joao Garcia was there to oh my God, what is his freaking name? Anyways, what I was trying to say about him is his speed is Elanga, man. Is that guy human? His speed is out of this freaking world. I mean, in that play where Elanga literally starts running in his third, and then the Newcastle throw a long ball. He comes all the way from the third, surpasses everybody, gets to that ball, drives it all the way down, crosses it, and then thankfully Joan Garcia was there to stop it. But man, Elanga, bro, did that guy have like motors in his legs? Like, oh, there you go. Everybody's confirming Elanga. Oh my God, he is. My God, man, that guy is fast. All right, let's do a couple more. Devon says, hello, Mo. My opinion is to start Ferran and come from the bench. Lewa, he's very old for 70, 80 minutes. I don't know if that was a match for Ferran. You know, remember, Ferran shines mostly when he comes off the bench. So I'm more in favor of having Lewandowski in the bigger matches for 60 minutes than bringing Ferran. And then, you know, against smaller teams, mid-table teams, yeah, bring in Ferran as a starter and then Lewy towards the end. Or maybe even Rashford in the number 9, right? Olushola says Gerard Martin shut him down. Yeah, brilliant match by Gerard Martin. No complaints. Vincent said, whoever scouted Joan Garcia, I feel confident with him. Our keeper is great. Yeah, great keeper. I mean, it didn't really take much of scouting. He was the best goalkeeper of last season. It's not like whoever saw him was like, oh, I discovered this hidden gem that nobody's heard of. His name is Juan Garcia. And everybody's like, oh my God, I've never heard of him. No, he literally was the best goalkeeper last season. He had the most saves. So it didn't take much of brain power to realize that would be a great goalkeeper. But anyways, That is all, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I had to say about the match. Thank you for joining me on this post-match live analysis. Thank you for your comments. If you haven't hit the like button yet, make sure you do. It really helps the channel grow. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. What are you waiting for? It's free. And if you want to let me know your thoughts, opinions about this match, drop it in the comment section. And of course, I'm going to see you later tonight during the videos. So see you then. And as always, Visca Barça.